This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie Tee? Welcome to the Command Post Game live show. I, of course, am your set man, Louie Tee. Thank you for joining me. Post up. Take command. Commanders get their first win of the preseason, 20-10 over the New England Patriots. That was an interesting game because the Patriots had some things to play for in the contest. Obviously, they still have not determined who their number one QB is going to be. It was fun to get a look at the number 3 overall pick, a guy that we were mulling over. Remember, we had the Civil War. That seems like an eternity ago because I don't think there's anybody still clamoring for Drake May at this point. But he looked good, right? Drake May, you have to admit, he looked good. I get it. It was against our third stringers and guys that won't be here in a couple of days, but doesn't matter. That's not the point, right? You still want your guys to go out there and look good, and he did, for most of the night. So I thought it was a really good performance by the guys who did play for the Commanders. We'll touch on a number of guys that stood out, have some serious conversations and some dialogue about some of the performances and what it could mean for some decisions that they'll have to make along this roster. But I'm just going to give you my real quick take. Let me first start off. There were a couple of individuals in particular. I didn't get a chance to go back and find out who they were, what their names were, because I would have gave them individual shout outs because I was very dismissive. One of those, hey, get out of here with that foolishness. And I kept hammering a point home all week long when they would sign another safety. Derek Forrest is not playing, right? I was adamant. I was like a dog with a bone, and I kept digging that bone up every time they signed a new safety. And I said, if he plays and he gets cut, I would offer up a double up. Well, he played one half of that equation. Happened tonight. And I told y'all, when I'm right, I'll be the first to tell you I'm right. When I'm wrong, I'll also be the first to tell you I was wrong. So Derek Forrest not only started this game, not only did he play, he started and he played most of this game. And so 2 of you in particular said, not only is Derek Forrest playing, he's playing for a roster spot. You guys seem like you're spot on. I think I was wrong and you were right, because the guys that, for the most part, I think there may be 1 or 2 guys that didn't play tonight that still could find themselves getting cut come Tuesday. But for the most part, there were a list of 34 guys that were inactive tonight. If you are safe on this roster, you were on that inactive list one way or the other, right? Like a Sam Hartman, for instance, he was banged up. They didn't play him. He's not making this team. But outside of the few guys that, probably aren't making the roster, you needed to be on that list and you needed to be in civvies watching this game, or else you're fighting for a roster spot. And Derek Forrest felt like a man fighting for a roster spot tonight. There were only a select few guys that were out there playing that they're going to be on this roster. Jeremy Reeves, Jamin Davis, Cade York, Tressway, Tyler Ott, like most of the core special teams guys, they're out there, but they're making this team, right? Everybody else, probably fighting for a job, right? Maybe a couple of the offensive linemen. Michael Dieter feels pretty safe. Chris Paul feels really safe, right? I don't want to say Julian Good-Jones feels really safe. I think that might be a stretch, but he feels like a guy that's going to ultimately be on this roster, but stranger things have happened, right? But for the most part, you needed to be on the sidelines tonight to feel comfortable. Derek Forrest was not. So that one's on me. Now, if you finish the second half of this and he gets, I'm coming back with a double O. I owe you. I owe you. Anyway, I digress. So let's get to the a little bit of what happened in the game. I didn't take as many notes because clearly there weren't as many notes to take. But we start the game off. For the first time this preseason, we did not receive. We had received in the first 2 games. We were kicking off here. So Jeremy Reeves set the tone, I thought, early with a nice, big special teams tackle to set the tone. For anybody out there that thinks Revo isn't making this roster, you guys are crazy. He got the Marcus Mariota treatment this past week, where Dan Quinn couldn't stop talking about him, right? Just to let you know, just in case you were wondering, he's Marcus Mariota is QB2 and Jeremy Reeves is making this football team. He's too good of a special teams player. He's too valuable to that particular unit to not be on this roster. Good tackle by Tyler Owens on the swing route to AG. That we call the all-out blitz, essentially. And this was what I wanted Jaden Daniels, and he'll learn, right? Right? This is what you get from a veteran quarterback. They send an all-out blitz from the left side of the defense, right side of the offense. You got a running back releasing, so you don't have anybody protecting you, but that running back's releasing. There's nobody guarding him. Get it to him. Jaden Daniels had that same opportunity with Austin Eckler out of the backfield against the Dolphins, and he threw it out of bounds to Terry, which is what they call a dirty throw. Get rid of it, salvage the field goal, live to fight another day. But you had a guy open in the flats. That's what he was supposed to do. And again, it was a teachable moment. I love to see it. So Tyler Owens made a good tackle on AG. We've seen that play a million times. AG isn't going to break the tackle. He's not going to make him miss. He's going to run towards the sideline and get pushed out of bounds, which is what he did. But good job by Owens of taking a proper angle and guiding him out of bounds. Another missed tackle by Anthony Pittman on an AG run. We're going to talk about Anthony Pittman because I think he grabbed the shovel, dug his own grave, roster grave, and threw himself in it. And I had no problems picking up the shovel for him and putting the dirt on him after tonight's performance. He was awful. KJ Henry with an untouched sack. I thought KJ Henry was one of 3 defensive players that stood out immensely tonight. KJ Henry, look, I thought all along that he had gotten his roster spot by default. There just wasn't any other defensive ends worthy of making this football team. Hence, he was going to be here at defensive end. If F.A. Obata were healthy and ready to start the season, KJ Henry wasn't making his team in my mind's eye. But there is no F.A. Obata. The other 3 guys are as safe can get. They did not play tonight in Cleveland Farrell, Dorrance Armstrong Jr., and Dante Fowler Jr. Those 3 are here. There's nobody else here at defensive end. The cupboard is completely bare. And Javonte John Baptiste hustles. He's raw. He got some traits you like, but he's not ready to contribute on an NFL field yet. But KJ Henry showed tonight that he is, right? He's solid. He's not going to necessarily move the needle. But here's the thing that I found interesting from, let me see if I have him. Yeah, okay. I'll save it for because I have him down in my notes again. So I'll save my KJ Henry conversation for a little bit later on. Cash Allen was back on the first punt return. I thought the Patriots screwed us in this department where they didn't give us a lot of opportunities to assess our return game. They kicked a lot of the kickoffs straight out of bounds and just said to hell with it. Early on in the preseason, everybody wanted to see the kickoff. They wanted to get some returns and some things on tape so they could have it to study and kind of look at it. Now that they've had enough of that, they're like, okay, to hell with that shit. Let's kick it out of bounds. So we didn't get a lot of kickoff returns. They didn't score a lot of points either, but we didn't get a lot of kickoff return opportunities. And then when they punted, the ball was high. It was fair caught. So we didn't even get a lot of return opportunities. So that sucked because a guy like Cash Allen needs that type of opportunity to showcase what he can do and the kind of value he can bring to the team. And he really never got that chance tonight. Jeremy McNichols was the first running back to start the game. So I'm going to go ahead and concede. When you're running for presidency or you're running for, the right to be a governor or a senator, and you know that you're not going to win, you concede, right? I'm conceding my campaign here for Michael Wiley as RB3. If they're keeping a 4th running back, he stands a chance, but I don't think they're keeping 4, and I wouldn't keep 4. This is not a keep 4 running back roster that we have. So I am going to concede to Jeremy McNichols as RB3. Dan Quinn told us this past week they value special teams more than a third running back, than they do a guy that can help more on the field. That third running back is going to have to play special teams, right? Jeremy McNichols is ahead there, probably by a wide margin. And then for them, the gap between McNichols and Wiley as running backs might not be as big of a gap as it is for me. I just think Wiley is just more natural as a running back. But McNichols got in there, and this was his best game by far and away, McNichols. I still don't love him as a running back, but he wasn't terrible. Good catch by Pringle on the first drive, although it was, negated by an illegal touching by him running out of bounds and then being the first to touch the football, but still a really good catch. The only reason I even put it in my notes is because for a guy like Byron Pringle, it is imperative. We know what he is as a special teams player. They know what he brings to the table as a special teams player. I think it is imperative for him to show this staff that he can play offense too. I can contribute there as well. If pressed into action and you're only keeping 5 receivers, because if you're keeping 5, you're going to need me at some point to step on the field at receiver. I can do that. I'm not just a token guy at the back end of the roster that's only here for special teams purposes only. I can help at receiver. And so anytime he gets thrown the football and he can catch it, that's going to go a long way in trying to help him determine where he can fit in on this roster. So the offensive line from left to right for the first 3 quarters of this game did not change. Armani Taylor-Prelude at left tackle, Julian Good-Jones at left guard, Michael Dieter at center, Ricky Stromberg at right guard, and Chris Paul at right tackle. That was the offensive line for 3 quarters of this game. What does that mean? I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the biggest takeaway from the offensive line, the way that it was constructed in this game, is that Trenton Scott is cut. And I told you, I thought that a healthy Brandon Coleman would spell the end of him making this football team. I think him not playing tonight was their way of saying, we're trying to hide you, get you onto the practice squad. Look, he's an NFL veteran. Teams know what he's capable of. But again, on a Sunday night, final preseason game of the preseason, everybody's at home, relaxing in their chairs, watching this game. No need in putting him out there and allowing him to showcase, what it is. We want to get him onto the practice squad. So they gave another guy an opportunity. It feels like the other 4 guys that played tonight are all making the team. That's what it feels like to me, right? The only other guy that didn't play tonight, because he's too valuable to our team because he's our swing tackle, was Cornelius Lucas. He would have been with that second group. That's your second team offensive line. The 4 guys that were out there, Ricky Stromberg seems to be, because remember, they stuck Trenton Scott at that guard spot in the game against the Dolphins to kind of see if he could play some guard for him. But it's just not going to be enough. I don't think it's going to be enough. And so I think it's the other 4 guys, Cornelius Lucas, and then the 5 starters, and then voila, you've got your 10 offensive linemen. That's what it feels like right now. So good catch and throw by Driscoll to Tinsley. I thought Mitchell Tinsley had a really good showing. I'd been waiting for this type of performance from Mitchell Tinsley the entire preseason because we saw him play like this all last preseason, which is why he made the team. But we hadn't seen it all preseason long, whether it be for lack of opportunities. I thought he, mistimed his jump on a couple of balls in the end zone this preseason where he had a chance to kind of announce himself to the staff and he didn't take advantage. I thought he was really good tonight. Unfortunately, too little, too late, right? On some JoJo shit. Too little, too late. C-Rod was the second running back in the game. And I made note of this because I'm going to tell you how it really felt to me. And for those of you coming over from Bleacher Report with me, you've already heard this take. So I apologize for the redundancy. But most of you probably didn't come over from Bleacher Report with me. So I said this already. I'm going to say it again. It felt like they were hiding my guy, Michael Wiley, tonight. I can't speak for you, how you felt. But the order with the running back, the pecking order had been at the running back position this entire preseason. Obviously, B-Rob and Eck go in first. Once they sit down, McNichols was the first back off the bench. And after him, it was Wiley. Now, in the Jets game, I think it might have been C-Rod for 1 or 2 carries or 1 or 2 snaps. And then it was all Michael Wiley, right? And from that point on, and even in that game, it felt like Wiley was the showcase feature after McNichols left the game, not C-Rod. And in that next game, Michael Wiley was in very early, right? Right after McNichols got in, or soon as McNichols got in, Wiley wasn't that far behind. So it felt like, hey, there was this strong undercurrent for Michael Wiley, and I was the leader of the campaign, right? I was the campaign manager. tonight it felt like national stage. Everybody's watching. We can't let you see our stuff because we want to get him on the practice squad. They sprinkled in Michael Wiley here and there. Every time he played, he looked effective. He had a blow up on a defender as he was going out for a pass route. I lit him up. He had a nice 9-yard run on his first carry of the game. He had a nice little catch out in the flats, and then he had the touchdown run. So whenever he touched it, he looked good. And it's almost like they said, all right, that's too much, Wiley. Get him out of there. We saw way more Austin Jones than we had seen all preseason long. They didn't have to play Austin Jones tonight. They could have played Wiley. But you know why? They're not keeping Austin Jones, but they want to keep Wiley. And I don't think they wanted to show the rest of the league because they're going to cut C-Rod too. He ain't making the team. And they don't care if they lose him. That's why they showcased him tonight, gave him an opportunity to showcase his talents to the other. This is what you do. When you don't want a guy, you give him a chance to showcase his talents to the other 31 teams because he's not staying here. So Austin Jones, Chris Rodriguez, y'all go ahead, showcase your talents to the other 31 teams because you ain't playing here. Michael Wiley, on the other hand, you don't need to showcase shit because we want you here, right? Same thing with Trenton Scott. You don't need to showcase nothing to the other 31 teams because we want your ass here, right? But you, Armani, Taylor, Prelude, you go ahead and showcase your talents to the other 31 teams because you're not going to be here, right? And we can say that for a number of guys that played tonight. Another 2 drops by Cole Turner. Man, Cole Turner felt like this entire preseason, it felt like he felt the pressure of a new regime. He didn't look like the Cole Turner I saw last year or the rookie season Cole Turner when he did play and could catch. He looked like a guy that was looking over his shoulder constantly because he knew this new regime has been getting busy and they have no issues. Snip, 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 snip. They got no problems cutting somebody, especially if we didn't bring you in. And tonight, 2 more drops. One looked like a little miscommunication. He was sitting down in zone. Driscoll thought he was going to continue through the zone. So a little miscommunication. Catch the goddamn ball. How many times are you going to drop the ball and then have penalties to boot, right? He had another penalty tonight. I mean, it was a rough go of it. Like every time they throw in the ball, it goes through his hands and it either gets picked off like it did at the end of the Dolphins game, or it almost gets picked off. It almost was picked off on the first possession. I'm like, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I don't think Cole Turner's making this team. I don't think he's making this team, man. I think he's going to be on the practice squad. I don't think he's making this team. Good pressure by Phil Mathis on the fumble / incomplete by Drake May. Phil Mathis was one of my biggest standouts in this game. I had 3 defensive standouts and then 2 on the offensive side in particular, and then 1 on special teams. He was 1 of 3 on defense. Phil Mathis, he's playing like a man that understands I'm playing for my commander's life over here, right? Because my second round status clearly doesn't. They just traded a dude that they spent a first round pick on. They could give 2 shits about me being a second round pick. They did not select my ass. I got to show what I can do or I won't be here. And he's played like it all preseason long. I've been impressed with Phil Mathis. He's jumping gaps. He's penetrating. He's off the snap in lightning quick speed. There were times where, he didn't make the play, but, had that play come to his side, it's blown up. Or he's in the backfield and immediately that quarterback has to vacate and get out of the pocket. He had pressure on that play where Drake May gets hit. They didn't know if it was a fumble. Initially, it was scooped up by Jeremy Reeves, but it was not a fumble. It was an incomplete pass, but he was the one that hit his arm. Great rush there. And I just thought he was extremely active in this game. Really impressed with him. Mykal Walker had a nice blitz against the run. He did not make the tackle, but he grabbed the running back and slowed him up enough that the cavalry arrived, and it ended up being a tackle for either a 1-yard loss or no gain. So that was good to see. Mykal Walker is on this roster. He's solidified his roster spot to me. And I knew it when we signed him that he was going to be a good player. He was not really good in that first preseason game versus the Jets, but he has been outstanding each of the last 2 preseason games. I didn't play a ton tonight as expected because he's going to make this roster, as I mentioned. But he played really well in the game against Miami, redeemed himself, and I think he's as good as on this roster at this point. Noah Igbenogany missed the tackle on the touchdown toss from Drake May. May carved us up on that first possession, 5 of 6, 71 yards, had the big run on the third and like 14 for the first down. But Igbenogany, he gambled. And in the NFL, if you're going to gamble, you better get there. He went after the football. You are always taught to first secure the tackle, put that arm around that defender or that running back or, receiver, whomever. Make sure you put that arm around that receiver first. Then you can swat at the ball. And if you don't make it, now you still got your arm around and you can wrap up. He went inside on the ball, no arm around, missed the tackle, and guy ran for the touchdown. But again, Noah Igbenogany is making his team as the 5th corner, so I'm not tripping about it. But you hate to see that. We have not been the sharpest tackling team in the preseason. But again, a lot of the defense has not been in there when we start talking about missed tackles and things of that nature. Byron Pringle and Kaz Allen were back on the very first kickoff of the game from New England. Again, the ball was kicked out of bounds, so we did not get to see a return there. That was the end of the first quarter. You get to the second quarter. Nice draw run by Jeremy McNichols. I think that's the best run we've seen from him all preseason long. He was decisive. Because a lot of his runs, he's pitter-patting in the backfield, trying to figure out where he wants to go. He's not decisive enough. Feet kind of stop. And now once you stop your feet, you got to start them up again. And, turns into the Flintstones, right? Or Scooby-Doo, where your feet are moving, but you're not going anywhere. But that run, he was able to get it because it was a delay. The defense kind of saw high hats. They dropped into pass coverage. He was able to get to the outside, turn on the jets a bit, pick up a nice little gain. That's the best run we've seen. And then he had a nice finish at the end of that run too. So I think McNichols is going to make this team as the 3rd running back. Another missed tackle by Anthony Pittman. So on this one, he got stiff arm. So let's talk about Anthony Pittman. He better not make this team, first and foremost. I won't sit here and tell you that I can't stand Anthony Pittman because, again, I make this point, and I made this point last, and I had to remind myself of this. He was brought here as a special teams player. He was not brought here to play in a linebacker capacity. While that may be the position that he holds in title, he's really supposed to be a core special teams guy. My problem with him is if you're a core special teams guy, you should be able to tackle. And his biggest issue has been he can't get anybody on the damn ground. All right. He had 2 more missed tackles tonight. He got stiff-armed on one play, and the running back then got to the outside and turned the corner and took what should have been a gain of 4 if he makes the – I don't understand. If you see a guy coming to stiff-arm you, man, chop that shit down. Get that goddamn stiff-arm out of here. And if you do that, you're going to knock his body forward, and now all you got to do is wrap him up and throw him onto the damn ground. Instead, guys, for some reason, think they're going to, like they're mummies or some shit, and they're reaching – if I stiff arm you and my arm is longer than your arm, you're not going to be able to make the tackle, bro. Chop that goddamn stiff arm down. It's going to knock his body down like this. And then you wrap him up and you get him on the ground. And you let the dude just, boop, stiff arm the shit out his ass and get to the outside. Pittman stinks. He stinks as a linebacker. And we shouldn't even be seeing him this much because Jordan McGee was supposed to be playing a lot of these snaps. He should not have been this exposed to us this preseason, but he was, and it is what it is, and he can't be on this roster. I'm sorry. KJ Henry with a good rush on 3rd down. So let's talk about KJ Henry. I told you there were 3 guys that stood out on defense. KJ Henry, Phil Mathis, John Ridgway. What is he? The 3rd? I think he's the 3rd. KJ had the sack in the first quarter that injured Jacoby Brissett. He had the rush on 3rd down where this is with Joe Milton in the game here, if I'm not mistaken. Trying to think. This still might have been no. This was still Drake May here. This third down rush I'm talking about. This was him off the edge here, where he beat the guy, and Drake May just did a really good job of getting rid of the football right before KJ. But it was a good rush by KJ, and he got there. KJ Henry. Let me see if I wrote him down again. If not, then I'm gonna talk about him right now. No, I don't think I wrote down any more KJ Henry rushes. So KJ Henry had the sack. He had another good rush from the outside. And then this was the thing that was most impressive from KJ Henry in this game is he had a pressure from the interior. We know Dan Quinn loves to put those undersized speed packages on obvious passing situations, something that I used to beg, plead, cry. I was on bended knee like I was Boys to Men, begging Jack Del Rio to spicy things up on defense. You don't have to keep a big man on the field at all times. You can put 4 edge rushers on the field at once. That's allowed. There's no rules against that. You can do like Madden. I could put all DBs on the field if I want. Wouldn't be smart, but I can do that. You can do whatever the hell you want to do. And yet, we would always, well, Chase Young's going to line up on this side, and Montez Sweat's going to line up on this side, and we're going to get our 2 defensive tackles in here, and we're going to get after them. That ain't how Dan Quinn roll, right? That ain't how he operates. We going to put 4 dudes on the field that we think can win at any time when we know you got to throw the rock. And they're going to have some speed and some get off. And it was good to see KJ Henry kick down inside to a 3-tech and rush from a defensive tackle spot on third down and get pressure and win against a guard. That shows the staff, hey, we might have something here with KJ. We might be able to put KJ on the field in those types of situations, right? That it was a clean win, too, against a guard. I was proud of him, and I said, okay, I see you, KJ. Like, before the night, I felt like KJ got a spot by default. After tonight, I said, you earned your way onto that final defensive end spot. Now, don't get it twisted. As soon as FA's ready, I'm like, yo, FA, you good? FA's like, yeah, I'm ready. All right, KJ. Deuces, right? But until then, and who knows, if KJ has 4.5 sacks by the time, FA's ready, we might have to look somewhere else and claim a spot for FA, or FA might just have to chill. But for the time being, I was proud of the way he ended the preseason. That was a good it was a good performance by KJ Henry. And again, a lot of what he did was against the Patriots starters. Remember, Drake May played the entire first half after the Jacoby Brissett opening drive. The rest of the first half was Drake May. So they kept their starters in. As long as Drake May was out there, the starters stayed in. So he was getting busy. Again, I said this on the Bleacher Report post-game show. Let me repeat this. I get it. All right. It's the Patriots. So their starters, not all that impressive. Not all that impressive. I don't care. I love it. I don't care. Go out there and dominate. You can't control who they put in front of you. All you can control is what you can control, and you can control your effort and how you play. Go dominate. And he played really well tonight. Cole Turner with a holding penalty. I just Cole. And I like Cole, man. But another one of these Rivera draft picks about to bite the dust, man. Feels like he's going to get cut. John Ridgeway with 2 really nice plays. 2 tackles for loss. Then he had a hit on Drake May that had Drake May, flexing his hand. John Ridgeway was disruptive in this game, man. He had the tackle for loss on the little screen they tried to throw. The first guy, made the first defender miss, and then Ridgeway comes screaming down the line and cleans his ass up and gets a tackle for loss. Gets up, gets all excited. I'm like, hey, John, it ain't that type of party, bro. You celebrating by yourself. I always, when somebody gets up and they get amped, I just want one. You just got to have one dude that's on the same wavelength with you. So if you're going to run 7 yards behind the play after you make a play, I just need one guy to follow up and hit him on the head or run up and hit him and like, yo, that's what I'm talking about. it's a lonely feeling when you celebrate and you realize you turn around and you 9 yards away from the line of scrimmage and they huddling up and ain't nobody come to give you no love. That sucks. That's how it was under the last group, because it just wasn't that brotherhood and that bond. I don't expect that with this group. If you make a play, somebody gonna come up there and give you some love, right? We'll see. But he was hyped after that first play, so much so the very next play, he made another play, right? Tackle for loss, right? I'm watching John stacking shit. He's in rare form, man. He's stacking dudes and then tossing their ass out the way and getting to the ball carrier. Had another play where I thought he should have been more square when he made contact. He jumped on the dude's back and the dude carried him for about 3 yards before he fell down. But it was another nice play of John Ridgway stacking and shedding. And then on the play that I'm talking about where he hit Drake May, he rushed up the field, stopped, tossed the guy aside, and then went to May, hit him. He didn't throw him down on the ground. They probably would have tried to get him for a penalty, but he slid all the way down like he was on a pole. But I just thought Ridgway, he stood out much like Phil Mathis did, along with KJ Henry. Then Driscoll throws the interception. It was a bad pick too. I don't know what he was looking at there. He's not making the team, but I hope we can sneak him onto the practice squad because he'll be valuable if anything happens to either one of the quarterbacks. It'll be good to have Jeff Driscoll around. Michael Wiley, nice run. Then a good catch by Mitchell Tinsley. As I mentioned, they sprinkled in Michael Wiley almost as if, yeah, bro, we just don't want you exposed to the rest of the league. Pringle with a nice third down catch. And I put it in my notes because anything that Pringle can do on the offensive end is going to help benefit him in the long run. If he can catch the football and show them that offensively I add value as well, not just on special teams, that's a big thing for him. Nice Wiley run. The penalty negated it, right? There was a holding penalty. I want to say it was on Cole Turner. I don't know. I can't put every penalty on Cole Turner. I don't know who this penalty was on in particular, but it was a penalty that negated the run, which was fine. They had seen enough of Wiley at that point. We didn't see Wiley at all after this run here, right? So, okay, I got a rant. Y'all bear with me for a second. I'm going to try not to get too worked up because this was the single most frustrating play of the preseason for me. I was sitting here and my wife was looking at me like, bro, what the hell is wrong with you? Why are you getting this upset over a second quarter play in the third preseason game that is just as meaningless as it gets? And I looked at her and I said, you're right. I probably shouldn't be this upset, but it pissed me off to no end. So I need to take you back to the latter stages of the second quarter. We're getting close to the 2-minute warning. The Commanders get to the line of scrimmage, and there was a discrepancy on the field with the officials and where to spot the ball and this, that, and the third, because something had just happened not too long ago. So I'm like, yo, stop showing the booth. Stop showing the officials. Show me where we at on the field. You know what I was trying to line up? I said, oh, we got this fresh new kicker right out of the packaging, right? I'm ready to open the package up and see what this shit is about. I said, where we at? They showed me the ball. We at the 38. I said, oh, shit. It's third down and like 8 from the 38. I'm like, gain 2 yards. Gain 2 or 3 yards. That's it. Don't get this first down. I'm finna set up this 53, 54 yarder on his ass right now. We finna find out what we got. Oh, I was excited. And then the Patriots said, I'm going to help you with that, bro. We coming with an all-out blitz. 0 coverage, right? They got everybody at the line of scrimmage, and they got all their corners lined up at the first down stakes. I'm like, oh, they giving you the slant. They're giving you the 4 or 5 yards I'm looking for. Come up, rally, make the tackle, keep us short, or the first down, send the field goal kick out. We talking 51, 52, depending on how this shit goes, right? I'm loving it. Like, ba-da-ba-ba-ba. And then Jeff Driscoll, monkey ass, rises up from under center and throws a fucking hitch behind the line of scrimmage, and they tackle him for a loss. No! Of all the things you can do in this situation, you're gonna throw the ball. This was a Scott Turner, Eric Bieniemy type of offense. This felt more like Scott Turner than Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy would have dropped Driscoll back 15 yards, ran 27-yard routes against all-out blitz and gotten sacked. This felt like Scott Turner doing some stupid shit. Bro, they're giving us 4 yards on a slant. Take it. You throw it backwards, lose 3 yards. Now we got to punt. Ain't nobody sending him out here for a 58-yard field goal. Where's the psychological sense in that? You need to wash your face and get your mind right. I was so pissed off. We had an opportunity to see this man kick a 50-something yard field goal. Worst case scenario, 49-ish. And they blew it. Pissed me off. Of course. Punt the ball, and then the only 2 attempts we see from him are 33 and 34. Oh, whoop did he effing do? 2 extra points. He made them, and they were up at the top of the net. We'll talk about Cade York, but that shit pissed me off. Yes, I got pissed off in a preseason game. Anyway. Damn, that shit pissed me off. Then we had a blown coverage on the back end on the touchdown pass from Drake May to one of their receivers. They got lucky that there was a penalty on the play, or it looked, I'm not going to look. I am usually going to be reserved just because the first person to show up to the party late seems guilty doesn't mean he's the one that committed the infraction. Right? He could be covering for someone else. So I choose to reserve judgment, but it was Defoe coming into the picture late, boy. Oy vey. Man, he feels real bubblish right now. He played a long time tonight. Not very good. Not very good. Anyway, that was the end of the half. Good catch by Kaz Allen to start the second half. It was good to see him use his hands there. Hey, we had a Colson Yankoff sighting. He made a nice little catch over the middle of the field. They like him. They want to work with him more. He'll be on the practice squad. He'll be on the practice squad. They like him a lot. Phil Mathis, good tackle for a 1 yard. I'm telling you, man. Phil was playing his ass off. Big Phil was in his damn bag in this game. And really, the entire preseason, I've been impressed with him. Then Phil Mathis standing out, penetration on a bootleg. Now, they ran the boot action away from him. He penetrated to the right. They ran the boot to the left. Well, the left of the defense, but he penetrated to the left of the offense, and they booted to the right, to the strong side of the quarterback. But it still was, if that was a run play, or if he was, somehow going off to the right, Mathis would have been right in his lap. They were blowing shit up front. Like the Patriots got some issues on their offensive line, because even when we were in the first half and Drake May was out there, we was getting some interior pressure. We was blowing some shit up, right? They running into each other like they the little giants and all kinds of bullshit. Yeah, they got some issues. I'm glad that ain't us. Right? I'm glad that shit ain't us. Then I put in my notes, John Ridgeway playing his ass off. That was the play where he stacked the dude. He had already made 3 plays in the game, prior to this play that I'm talking about. But he stacked the dude, tossed his ass out the club, jumped on the running back's back. I would have liked to have seen him stay square and just sumo wrestled his ass and stood him up at the line of scrimmage. It probably would have been no gain of 1. Instead, he jumped on his back, and the dude took him for about a 2-3 yard ride. But it still was a good play by John Ridgeway. Yeah, he was playing his ass off too. Like I said, he was one of 3 guys. I mentioned the 3 on defense: KJ Henry, Phil Mathis, and John Ridgeway, who just stood out for me. Martavis Bryant sighting. He had made a catch on the sideline. I was like, hey, double eights, I see you. that was the start of the Martavis Bryant show. And we're going to talk about him because he, along with Mitchell Tinsley, stood out on offense. But in particular, Bryant, like, I don't think he's making this team per se. But, boy, did he make a case at the end of this game. Like, remember what Dan Quinn said when they signed him. He offers us, red zone ability to go get the football, this, that, and the third. And like that catch, that was a terrible route. Literally, he was dog tired. You could tell. That's the cheapest slant you're gonna see, right? He didn't sell anything. He literally just ran in front of the guy, and then he just used his frame, and he made a tough contested catch in the red zone, which is what it's all about down there. He drew 2 pass interference penalties. He made another catch. It turned into the Martavis Bryant show. He largely was responsible for all of the points scored in the second half. He drew the pass interference penalty that led to the Michael Wiley touchdown run to make it 10. He drew the pass interference penalty that put us down there for the touchdown that he scored at the end. And I think he had a catch on the drive where they kicked the field goal and made it 13. I think it was 13-10 at that point. So, yeah, he was really good. And he ran well tonight. I don't think it's going to be enough, to be honest with you. But, again, I am as confused about what they're going to do on the back end of the receiver position as I've been all offseason. That trade of Jahan Dotson threw a monkey wrench in everything. They could go again. I've made the argument for 5. Just keep 5. I think the number more likely than not is still going to remain 6. And if it is, Kaz Allen or Martavis Bryant, that's probably what you're choosing between. And which one do you value more? Neither of them give you a ton on special teams. So at this point, you want the guy that's going to help you in the red zone, or you want the guy that could maybe do some things for you on special teams as a return man and a gadget guy? I don't know. Or do you want to go with Jamison Crowder, who is the Wiley vet? You know exactly what you're going to get. Again, I don't know. I still think you could get away with just 5. Nobody else is going to sign Martavis Bryant, which is why I don't think he's going to make the roster. Nobody's going to sign him. Nobody's going to sign Jamison Crowder, more likely than not. So you can cut both of those dudes, throw them on the practice squad. And again, my biggest question is, how many receivers are you keeping on the practice squad anyway? You know who else had a really solid game now that I'm playing the game back in my head? Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint. He had a really solid game. He's not going to be here. But I thought he did some good things too. Cole Turner finally with a good catch. I said, oh, Cole. Feels just a little late, buddy. Just a little late. Cole looked at me and he said, there's never a wrong time to do the right thing. I said, true, but it took you to the 4th quarter to make a damn catch. Of the 3rd preseason game, like literally, Cole Turner has been Butterfingers this entire preseason. And look, in his defense, he's had 5 drops this preseason. He had 2 in the game against the Dolphins, 2 in this game, and 1 against the Jets. 4 out of 5 of those passes were probably thrown entirely too hard and maybe slightly behind him to boot. They weren't easy catches. But if you're a pass-catching tight end, I don't really care where the ball is thrown. If it touches, and a lot of these touch both of his hands, catch the football. I get it. Hot sauce to go, 97-mile-an-hour fastballs. You didn't ask for them. I'm aware, bro. I am so sorry that you had to deal with that. Catch it anyway. Catch it anyway. That was a really good catch, though. It was in traffic. He took a shot. He knew he was going to get hit, and he caught it. And I was happy for him. But it feels a little late at this point. Martavis Bryant drew a pass interference. I've already talked about his night. He was really good towards the end of this game. And then Michael Wiley had the touchdown run. And again, it begs the question, why didn't Wiley play more tonight? And I think I know the answer. Like, they know what Wiley is. They know what he can provide. And I think they want to get him onto the practice squad. That's what it felt like to me. But, we'll see what ultimately happens, as this thing kind of gets down to the nitty gritty. Wiley won't be in the first round of cuts. I think he'll be in those cuts on Tuesday, not the ones that we'll hear sometime on Monday. I think he'll be on that last round of cuts on Tuesday on those guys that they're trying to get back onto the roster. Most of the guys that they cut on Monday will be guys that they're going to give opportunities. You always cut those guys sooner because you don't want them back and you want to give them an opportunity to latch on somewhere else. I mean, not that an extra 24 hours is going to make that much of a difference, but generally speaking, you get rid of the guys that, aren't going to be here in any capacity first. Then the tougher cuts, the guys that you're mulling over, you're going back and forth about, you really want to try to sneak them into the waiver with everyone else, right? Because the first cuts are clear and they're present and you can see them and they're easy to pick up on. Everybody's dumping players on Tuesday. Every team in the National League. The wire is going to be just absolutely filled with names. And you're hoping to sneak your 12 or 13 guys through to get them onto the practice squad. So I think you're going to see a number of those guys get cut on Tuesday. The Michael Wileys and the Jeff Driscolls and those types of guys. Sam Hartman, because you want to get him on the practice squad more likely than not. You'll sneak those guys. You'll try to cut those guys on Tuesday. The Monday cuts will be if they don't love Marcus Rosemy, Jack Saint, those types of guys. I think Bryson Tremaine, it just, for whatever reason with Bryson Tremaine, it just never translated from practice. Every practice, well, Bryson Tremaine makes another big grab. He continues to get his name called. And then we get to the preseason game and Bryson Tremaine would do nothing, right? No catches. They try to throw it to him a couple of times. He wouldn't be able to come down with it. He had a penalty tonight on an OPI where he blocked too soon. I think he had 2 penalties in the game, as a matter of fact. So I don't think he had a single catch in the game tonight. If he did, it was on like a little screen, a little bubble screen. I don't think he had a catch tonight, though. So do they value him enough on special teams to keep him around on the practice squad? My gut says no. My gut says he gets cut tomorrow, along with a slew of other guys that aren't going to be here. But we'll see. All the guys, the Shadrick, Seldrick, Red Wine, all the guys that just got here this past week, they'll be the first ones out of here, right? Tomorrow. So anyway, I digress. We're going to get to the comment section here in a second. Before we do, let's get a word from one of our sponsors tonight. This stream is being brought to you by BetUS. Let's go inside the odds, brought to you by BetUS.
Inside the odds.
So we are inside the odds, brought to you by BetUS. Looking for a new book this football season? BetUS is the answer. Fastest payouts in the industry. 125% sign-up bonus for up to $2,000 on your first 3 deposits. Fast and easy deposit and withdrawal process. If you are looking for that new book, check out my BetUS link down in the description of this video. So, with that said, I want to take a look at a couple of Commander-related things. So let me get this logo out of the corner here so you can see real quick, and then I'll put it back when I am done. So let's take a look at a couple of items here, Commanders related. So the first one we're going to look at is division wins, and these numbers are brought to you by BetUS. Check out their site. They got a lot of different specialty bets, and these are a couple of ones that we're going to talk about tonight that you can make on their site right now. The numbers that you see in front of you are all courtesy of BetUS. So we're talking division wins right now. And we've talked about this a lot. We won 0, a big donut in the division last year. So obviously, it is imperative that we need to be better in the division. If you can't take care of business in your division, you're going to find it hard to win in general. So the number for Washington in the division in terms of wins, it's set at 2.5. Theoretically speaking, when you look at this, you say the Giants are in the division. You should be able to beat them at least once, if not twice. And then all you got to do is beat Philadelphia or the Giants once, or excuse me, or the Cowboys just once, and you're over on this 2.5. But the Giants have had our number for whatever reason. That I feel like is coming to an end this year, but I'm not going to be as brash as I was last year because I ended up with egg all over my face. This group, I have a lot more trust in their ability to get the shit done that they're supposed to. But nonetheless, right now it's even money on the over because I really think we're going to win 3 games in the division this year. So I would be taking the over on this. I don't know about you guys and how you feel about this, but I would take the over on 2.5 wins. The under is right now at -130. So even Vegas is telling you here with the odds and what the money line is all about here. They're telling you that, yeah, we think you're going to win 3 games. Because I think it's because of the Giants, to be honest with you. They're looking at the Giants and they say, hell, if you're doing what you're supposed to do this year, you should beat the Giants twice. And then all you got to do is get Philly or Dallas once. You got 4 tries to win 1 game. You should be able to do that. And I think we're going to be a thorn in Dallas's side moving forward because who knows Dak Prescott and every single defender that is on that defense, who knows their weaknesses more than Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr.? Who knows them inside and out more than those guys? Who knows Dak Prescott and what makes him tick and what makes him uncomfortable more than Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr.? I really feel like Dallas is in trouble this year. We know those guys. So we're going to win 3 games in the division this year. I don't know if we'll win more than that. Even if we don't sweep the Giants, I'd be fine with splitting with every team in the division, getting 1 off of everybody, just to let them know, hey, we coming. You better get your affairs in order now. We sending off warning shots now. Pop, pop, pop. Because next year, we aiming for your dome piece. And then we heading out to Jones Beach. So, over under 2.5 in the division. I'm taking the over. What says you? I'm taking the over. And then I wanted to throw this one out at you. So, another division special that you can find on the BetUS website. And this is all these numbers are being provided to you by BetUS. This is the division finishing position. And this is what you can bet on for the Washington Commanders. So, starting at the bottom, in last place, we are -105, which means they're saying you're more likely to finish in last place than any other position in your division. Now, they're not saying that we are more likely than the Giants. That is not what this is saying. This is saying that you can bet on Washington, and my thing is always slapping down $100. That's the standard for me. So what they're saying, if you slap down $100, this is what your likelihood is for, getting this amount of money based off of where Washington is going to finish in the division. They're not saying that we're going to be more likely to finish in 4th place than the Giants. They're just saying you're more likely to finish in 4th place than you are 3rd, 2nd, or 1st in the division. I don't think anybody disagrees with that. I think the position that we're more likely to finish in than not is 3rd, right? So all the rest of the numbers in the division are pluses, okay? So we're on the right side of that. So they think we have a really good shot at finishing in 4th, which is why it's minus. You're not going to get over on us, -105. Whereas 3rd place, okay, +175. They still don't, they know that that's a possibility, which is why it's not super high. The odds aren't super high. If you're willing to risk 100 to win 175, knock yourself out, right? 2nd place is where it gets interesting because I talked to a lot of, Eagles fans and Giants fans and things, and they got us in. Some of them have us in second place, finishing in second place this year. It's not out of the realm of possibility. It's not far fetched, but I just still think it's Dallas and Philadelphia's division to lose. And I think we should be, theoretically speaking, should be in third place. But somehow if we were able to get to second, plus 550 is the number. You slap down 100, you win 550. It's not bad. That's not a bad bet, right? Just let it ride. Slap down 100 before the season starts. They win, they finish in second. They don't have to make the playoffs. Just finish in second in the division. You win 550. Now, if somehow, some way, we're able to win this division, and it's a long shot, which is why it's plus 1,000. Slap down 100, win 1,000. You can walk away with a G, with a stack. I don't see that happening. They don't see it happening, which is why the odds are the way that they are. But I just think it's interesting looking at the money line, how it's set up. There's a big jump from third place to second and then second to first. And all of this is accurate in my mind's eye. We're more likely to finish, I think, third than fourth. But if we can't beat the Giants, we could be, swimming in the basement again. Swimming right down there in the pool in the basement by ourselves again. So, which one of these would you be willing to slap down a hundo on to see what you could get? Which one do you have confidence in us finishing this year? Fourth, third, second, or first in the division? I would put my money on us finishing third right now. I wouldn't be shocked if we finished second, to be honest with you. But that would be less about us and more about the collapse of the Cowboys. It's not like we finished in second because we surprised everybody and won 10 or 11 games. It's because we won 8 or 9 games and Dallas just fell the hell apart with all their turmoil, guys not getting contracts, Dak playing on the last year of his deal, head coach on the last year of his deal, and then shit just going sideways, relying on 87-year-old Ezekiel Elliott at running back, making some changes up front along the offensive line. Their cornerback, Deron Bland, is out for the first 6 to 8. Well, he's out 6 to 8 weeks, so he may miss the first 4 games or so of the season to probably start him off on the PUP list. So who knows what could happen, right? And you got your other corner coming off a major knee surgery. So, again, don't know what he's going to look like. So anything could happen. I think it'll be more about them not performing and underachieving and less about us overachieving and going out and taking the number 2 spot. But us just saying, hey, we did what we were supposed to do. You just didn't do what you were supposed to do. And that's how we ended up in second. But anyway, I digress. I'm going to give a big shout out to BetUS for their odds. So let's get to the comment section, see what you guys have to say before we get out of here. Big shout out to everybody that's in the chat right now, almost 1,000 of you. And we're heading towards 1 a.m. on the East Coast. So big shout out to everybody out there, whether you're on the left coast and you ain't sweating the time, or you're on the East Coast like myself and it's almost 1 in the morning. Shout out to everybody out there. Jay Terry, stand up. You are the newest member of the MOBB mob. You know what to do. Show Jay Terry some love. Welcome him with open arms. Jay Terry, welcome to the squad. Glad to have you and looking forward to chopping it up with you this upcoming season. What a fun season it's going to be. Glad to have you on board. AfroCat2136, been a member for 28 months. Really appreciate you. AfroCat2136 writes, Mathis and Ridgeway fighting for their NFL lives. They both were playing like it. And they both played. I thought both of them looked good this entire preseason. Really been impressed with Mathis, to say the least. He's been really good. So, and Ridgeway looked good tonight for sure. GT7, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. GT7 writes, bye-bye, Defo. Yeah, man. I might have to offer up that 00 after all. I already apologize for the dismissal of the comments from a couple of you earlier in the week when y'all told me about Defoe not only playing in this game, which I was adamant he would not, but also playing for his roster spot. He looked like a man that was playing for a roster spot tonight. He did. And I had gotten so defensive when it came to Defoe that I was willing to stretch the safety position out to 7. I was like, they're not even keeping 6 at one point. Then I went from they're not keeping 6 to, hey, maybe they'll keep 7, right? Just because I was like, they're not cutting Defoe. Somebody's getting cut. I told y'all this a week ago. Somebody's getting cut at the safety position. It's too deep and talented of a position. It could be the folk hero, right? Tyler Owens. I still think you can get him. He didn't do anything major tonight. I still think you can cut him and get him on the practice squad. You don't have to keep Tyler Owens. The entire league passed on this man in the draft. You don't have to do anything with Tyler Owens, and he'll be right back here on the practice squad. You cut Defoe, somebody's gonna sign him. Somebody's gonna pick him up. He won't be back here on our practice squad. So that's what you have to wait. I don't know if he's gone, but it didn't feel good watching him tonight. That didn't feel, and I told y'all when he got injured early on in training camp and had to miss some time, and he missed that first joint practice with the Jets, and he missed that preseason. I'm like, those are invaluable snaps. And it allowed a guy like Tyler Owens to get more opportunities and make more plays. And it allowed Percy Butler to distance himself from him and create that separation. And the more he, the more he got further away from feeling a lot, the closer he got to feeling like, wait a minute, are you even on this roster, bro? It felt like that tonight. But I'm not willing to say bye-bye yet. Bye, 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 bye. Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. Glizzy McGuire. I love the name. Glizzy McGuire. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, he's a sly guy. Doo-doo, doo-doo-doo. Sad our kicker wasn't challenged. Boy, they threw Joey out there for every Bama kick there was, and Joey did not answer the bell, man. They sent him out there for a 64-yarder. They sent him out there for a 60-yarder. And then I think those were the 2 kicks, the one before half and then the one at the end of the game. And Joey, they just wanted Joey to make one of them joints. I still think he is going to win that kicking job out there. But it was nice to see. We saw a lot of old friends. My wife was like, they got a lot of our old players on their team. I was like, yeah, it's nice to run into some of the old guys, man. AG was over there and Jacoby Brissett and Joey Sly. I was like, yeah, man, what's up? It's nice to see some of the old chums still alive and kicking over there, man. Yeah, I wanted our kicker to get challenged, and we had an opportunity, and boy, was I pissed. I'm not going down that rabbit hole again. GT7, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, on a positive note, man, Louie, this team's energy feels good. Feels good. Yeah. I talked about this earlier when I said, when I was talking about John Ridgway celebrating. There's just an energy that is palpable. Like, it's infectious. You see it. Like, even when Trace McSorley ran the dude over on the sideline, did you see? Did you see Frankie Louvu jumping up and down? Did you see De'Ami Brown in his face, give him the stink face? Did you see Jaden Daniels over there going crazy? Did you see everybody? Like, there's just a different vibe right now. It's a vibe. And I get it. It's before a game is, been played, and we're riding the wave right now, but this feels sustainable. This energy that feels good. Let them go win in Tampa week 1. Let them come home. I'm gonna tell you right now, that place is gonna be packed. There gonna be some Giants fans in the building. You can't stop them from showing up. You're not gonna be able to stop Eagles fans from getting in the building. Cowboys fans likewise, right? but it won't be this 55-45 shit that's been going on here the last. First of all, they're going to be excited to see Jaden Daniels. This feels, the energy around this thing is different. And I'm just telling you, let them get off to a fast start this year. The energy is infectious. You know, it's fun to watch. Mike Leslie, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Mike Leslie writes, can you give our boy Ertz back? We need tight end depth. And that's the beauty of what we've seen from the skill guy is we haven't even seen them unleash. Because to me, the biggest chemistry that we've heard of this offseason in terms of Jaden Daniels is that of Zach Ertz. Like, those two are connecting in practice every day. And I've said this to you guys before. And I said you need to look no further than last year with the Texans quarterback. I don't know why. CJ Stroud, I don't know why I was blanking on his name. Look at what CJ Stroud did last year with the tight end they got from Dallas, Dalton Schultz. Like, the tight end is a young quarterback's best friend because he's right in the line of sight. He's the first guy that you see. You look up, shit ain't going well. The tight end's right there over the ball 9 times out of 10. So Ertz is going to be big for Jaden Daniels. And then I think you're going to sprinkle in some Senate and, you know, some John Bates. You got the backs. And then that's why I said the receiver position isn't going to be as big of a deal because we're going to have others that can step up and insulate Jaden, insulate Jaden and shield him from feeling like there's not enough, right? It's not enough. Because I've heard that theory thrown out, right? That narrative that, oh, they haven't done enough to help Jaden in his rookie season. I don't believe that. I think there's more than enough stuff here, right? And part of that stuff is Zachary Ertz. Swaggy P, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Swaggy P, writes, I really want Michael Wiley and Tyler Owens to make this team. Also, McSorley trucking dudes out there, that got everybody amped. That was akin to Tress Way making that tackle versus the Jets and the whole sideline losing it. That's kind of how that Trace McSorley trucking that DB over there on the sideline. And then Trace rolls up on him, swelled up on him. I said, look at him over there looking all brolic, flexed on him and everything, puffed them shoulders, gave him one of them, looked at him like, you a little boy. I said, oh, you didn't get done up by Trace McSorley. Oh, no. That's tough, man. That's a tough one to live down. That's a tough one to live down. He says, I wouldn't mind having Bryant as a big body red zone target. Overall, I'm satisfied on the Tampa Bay. Hashtag raise hell. It's good to get back to my Swaggy P super chat. And at the end, on to the next one. All right, on to the next one. So now we back into our regularly scheduled programming where Swaggy P says, on to the fill in the blank. We on to Tampa, baby. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, indeed. So let's talk about Bryant. I mentioned him earlier. I talked about him. I'll be talking about him a lot over the next 48 hours, whether he does or doesn't make this roster. I thought he made a nice case for himself in the second half of this game. Because what he was advertised to us as, he showed us that deep threat, showed the ability to get behind a couple of DBs, create some pass. Like a pass interference down the field is just as good as a catch down the field. You just don't get the stats for it, right? Nobody gets the stats for it, but we'll take the yardage and those set up scoring opportunities. And then the slant he couldn't have run a lazier route, right? But it's not about that. It's about, can he use that 6'4", 210, 15-pound frame to box out defenders and come down with the football? And he did on that play. And if he can do that, which I know he can, there could be a place for him on this roster. Because, again, there isn't one receiver with a body type like that right now on the roster. Not one. Because Bryson Tremaine ain't making his team. So there's not one receiver with that type of frame, with those types of ball skills on this roster. So there could be a space for him. I don't think there is, but there could be. As far as Owens and Wiley are concerned, one of the two makes the roster. Both of them don't. I'm a Michael Wiley guy, you know that, but tonight kind of felt, I've seen enough preseason games, and when teams were trying to hide this kind of felt like they were hiding Michael Wiley from the rest of the league tonight. Meanwhile, Tyler Owens, I think, I wouldn't be shocked if neither one of them made the roster, to be honest with you. We're going to see how much they love him and how much they see in him, and how scared they are that they might lose him if they cut him, because if you cut Defoe, you're not getting him back. I feel confident in saying that. He's an NFL safety with NFL experience, and people have taken notice around the league. I think he didn't have, and this is the only thing that could save us, is that he really didn't play last year due to the injury. And so maybe out of sight, out of mind, but people know, right? People know. So I think you cut him, you don't get him back. You cut Tyler Owens, you can get him back. And so how much of an impact has he made, and has he made enough of an impact to where they're not willing to risk potentially losing him by exposing him to the rest of the league? I think they would rather roll the dice on Defoe. Remember, this is Defoe's final year of his rookie contract. So right now, even if Defoe made the roster, you got to think about it this way. How much is he really going to contribute? That's one, right? And does he have a long-term future here? Feels like the answer is no, whether he makes the roster or not. And if the answer is no, then are you willing to risk one more year for Defoe for 4 years of Tyler Owens? That's, again, same with Dominique Hampton, which is why I think a lot of these guys that they drafted, or the guys that they like, that they just brought here, that they got on the contract for 4 years, am I going to risk that guy for someone that has 1 year of service left on his rookie contract that we did not draft, that we did not bring here, that we're not responsible for? These are the questions you have to ask yourself when you start constructing a 53-man roster, right? We'll see what happens. Mike Leslie, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, we'll give you Pickett. The fact that you're trying to pawn off Kenny Pickett already, you just got him and you're trying to give him, tells us all we need to know about just how funky and the stench that's coming from Kenny Pickett right now. I've already said Tanner McGee is your second best quarterback. If I'm the Eagles, I'm thinking about picking up Jeff Driscoll after the preseason. I mean, you can't be happy with Tanner McKee being your second best quarterback, and Kenny Pickett stinks. But yeah, no, you're good at tight end, right? We gave you Amani Rodgers. You should be good at tight end, right? What more do you want from me? Video channel. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, Lou, I've said Martavis to the 53, the size, the speed, the physicality, the PIs he drew, the Wiley block, the goal line TD, Martavis for wide receiver 6. If they're keeping 6, I do think he's the 6th receiver. Because I just don't see Crowder making the team at this point. I told you guys that, though, a month ago. I didn't see Crowder making the squad. But the way they haven't played him in the preseason, because they know who he is. Like, they don't need to play Jamison Crowder. They know what he is, right? They know what he is. They know what he isn't at this stage of his career. And they feel pretty confident that they can cut Jamison Crowder and get him on the practice squad. And that's why I believe he'll be, right? Because he offers you special teams value with his ability to return punts. They see him as a reliable wide receiver if they need to, if he needs to be thrusted into action. I just think that they're perfectly fine with him on the practice squad. As far as Martavis Bryant is concerned, same thing. Like, they probably feel comfortable getting him onto the practice squad. He offers a lot, though. does Bryant, and there's this thing that we can't measure, but there's this chip on his shoulder and a sense of, I think, gratitude towards Dan Quinn for giving him an opportunity, right? But also this hunger to prove that I can still play in this league after this. Like, I think he understands that this could be his last chance. Nobody else is trying to give him an opportunity to get back into the NFL, right? Cowboys let him onto the practice squad last year, but he never saw game action. This could be it for him, and I think he's willing to sell out. So that's something else to keep in mind with Martavis Bryant. But I don't know if it's enough. But if they're keeping 6 receivers, I wouldn't be shocked if he's receiver 6 after Pringle. Anything could happen at receiver right now. Anything. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Metaphor writes, Lou, you watched Josh Harris interview today? Thoughts? No, I have not watched it yet. I'm saving it for tomorrow. I saw it. I started it. It was just too much going on in my house with the kids. And then I want to take notes. You know how I am. I'm very, anal with these things. I overanalyze everything. I just wouldn't have been able to do it in the environment that I was placed in today. So between the kids, and then a preseason game coming up, and then Bleacher Report hit me up last second, like, hey, can you jump on live after the game? There was just a lot going on. So I was like, you know what? I'll save this for tomorrow. I can analyze it, overanalyze it. I'll be talking 53-man roster tomorrow. I can talk about that interview tomorrow, and that'll give us a full show tomorrow. So I'll save that for tomorrow. I did see some of the changes with the stadium. We have not talked about the Sean Taylor statue that they're going to put outside of the building, which I think is remarkable. I would have saved that personally for the new stadium, to be honest with you, especially if FedEx. Now, again, remember, Commanders Field is going to be the stadium for at least the next 7-8 years, right? That land that they're on, the contract doesn't run out till 2027, but I would assume that encapsulated in the $605 million that they paid for the team is the rights to that plot of land that the stadium is currently on. So it's not like you got to worry about re-upping. It's your land, right? I think the naming rights might have run out in 2027 or something. I don't know. But they haven't figured out where the new stadium is going to go. They haven't broken ground on it. Like, we're not going anywhere anytime soon. So if you build a statue outside of the stadium, it's going to be dope. And it'll be there for at least the next 7 to 10 years till we get a new stadium. I would have done that outside of the brand new stadium when you're not going nowhere for, a long time. But they could do the same thing in front of the new stadium, right? But we'll talk more about that tomorrow. I haven't watched his interview yet, though. Mike Jink, thank you for being a member for 22 months. Almost at that 2-year anniversary. Mike Jink writes, Lemon Pepper Lou. What's going on, Mike Jink? It's game time. You know what it is. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. Any dogs in the You know what time it is. Got the confirmation emails. It's time to take over now. Beyond this household. Hashtag Go Birds. We gonna see. Yo, fiance was on your ass last year, bro. Right there down to the wire. Barely snuck her at the end. I'm dying to see how that dynamic works this year. But I'm right there with you, man. I'm ready for the action this year. Ready for the action. Good to hear from you, and I'm looking forward to it, Mike Jink. Don Everhart, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Once again, thank you for your generosity, Don Everhart. Greatly appreciate you as always, my guy. Don E. writes, hey, Lou, what's up, Don? I joined late, but how about McSorley when he dogged out that defender with his shoulder? Oh, that was gold. Like, I know it's preseason. I know he's not going to make this team, but I harken back to that brotherhood discussion and just how somebody brought up the energy with this team earlier. And I want to say it might have been GT7. Yeah, this team's energy, GT7 earlier. Um, I go back to that, man, and the response that he got. I've seen dudes do that on their sideline in the preseason, and only one or two guys get excited. I've seen guys, make massive play. I watched a punter lay a guy out, pick up a 15-yard penalty. Normally in the preseason, nobody cares about that shit. If your punter or your kicker is willing to lay somebody out on your sideline, oh no. They didn't even go hype him up. He was acting crazy. He wanted all the smoke. And his teammates ain't even have his back. It's a different vibe here. Like I said, and that play kind of is a microcosm of what this entire offseason, it's just been nothing but good. Like I could on some Frankie Beverly and Mays shit. It's just been happy feelings, right? Happy feelings in the air. Like it just feels like it's just happy feelings all over the place, man. And it started in the offseason with the full transformation of, ownership, GM, coaching staff, players, and then it just continued to permeate throughout the offseason, into the mini camps, into the training camp, into the preseason. Here we are talking about a guy that just got here on August the 15th, running over a defender on the sidelines and them hyping him up like they did Tress Way a couple of weeks ago when he made the tackle versus the Jets. It's just a different energy around here, man. It was so much fun to see Trace McSorley run over the dude, flex on him, and have all the guys over there just going nuts. Right? Loved it. Loved it. Loved it. Don Everhart, stand up. You, my friend, continue to show tons of support, and I can't thank you enough for your generosity. Shout out to the brand new members. Stand up. You are the newest members of the MOBB, courtesy of our guy, Don E. Really appreciate you, my guy, Don Everhart. Thank you for gifting 10 memberships. And once again, shout out to all of the brand new members of the MOBB, courtesy of our guy, Don Everhart. Big shout out to Don. Thank you so much once again for your generosity. And welcome all new members, courtesy of our guy, Don. Red Wings 01. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Red Wings 01 writes, eating the crow on my Tremaine wide receiver 6 take. He ain't making it. I never thought he was making this team. But look, you were led to believe that he had a shot because of all the plays he was making. My thing was, and it always continued to be, when is it happening? When is it going to happen in the game? Like, it's cool to hear them talking about Bryson Tremaine making another play in practice. When is it going to happen in a game where we can actually see it? Because a lot of guys ball out in practice, but when the lights are its brightest and the stage is its biggest, where you at? When we start taking attendance like a classroom, where your ass was at? And we started taking attendance, and I never saw Bryson Tremaine. So he says, Crowder looking safe again. Final 1 or 2 spots between Bryant, Pringle, Allen, or new guy. So you still feel like Jamison Crowder is good. Like, I think there's a quality here to Jamison Crowder that can't be understated, and that's a level of comfort. But sometimes when you're comfortable with a guy, you take him for granted. I feel like Crowder's being taken for granted right now because there's a level of comfort in what he provides. Oh, yeah, we know he can return punts. Oh, yeah, we know he can be a steady receiver on the back end of the roster if we need him. It's almost like they pushed him aside so they can assess all these other guys. And it's a lot easier to fall in love with the new shiny toy than it is old Woody over here. You remember when the little boy first got Buzz Lightyear? It was easy to push Woody's ass aside. He ain't new no more, right? Got some issues with the arm, right? Hat keep falling off. Buzz Lightyear got the nice little shiny laser to infinity and beyond, got the little wings that fly up. Like, we got a new toy over here. It's gonna be very easy for them to convince themselves, oh, we can just put James Crowder on the practice squad. You're thinking, oh, we don't need to see him because he's good. I'm not getting that vibe. Because they played Olamide Zaccheaus a lot this preseason. They played De'Ami Brown a lot this preseason. Guys that are going to be on this roster that are going to contribute. They could have played Crowder some more. They didn't, though. He was in that weird space of not playing a lot, not playing with the starters, not playing with the backups. Kind of like, oh, we'll just throw Crowder in here just to say we threw Crowder in here. But he didn't play tonight. He didn't play in the first game. And then in the second game, he had like 2 catches right before halftime, and that was it. So you really haven't seen him. They haven't put him back there on punts. They know what he can do. That doesn't feel like, hey, you on the roster, don't worry about it. It feels like if we need you, we know you're there, and we know what you provide. But we can get you on the practice squad. But we'll see. You could be right. He could be safe, and 6 is between the guys that you named, Bryant, Pringle, Allen, or a new guy. You could be spot on with that. I don't see it that way, but I wouldn't be shocked if it is that way. I told you, there's not many things that can happen. I said this on the Bleacher Report stream earlier. The only thing that can surprise me with this roster is if they cut Jamin Davis. Only thing that will surprise me. Nothing else will move the needle for me. Keeping a guy, cutting a guy, nobody else would surprise me. Because outside of them making waves at defensive tackle, like, I don't see Ridgeway or Mathis getting cut. If they cut one of those, I'd be like, really? I don't know if I'd be shocked as much as just like, really? You thought that made the roster better by cutting one of those dudes? But Jamin Davis is the only guy that I'd be shocked if they cut. I just don't see them cutting him. So I wouldn't be shocked if Crowder does make the team. I don't see it. They're not giving me Crowder's on the roster vibes. But I wouldn't be shocked if he is on this team. Rocky D, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Rocky D writes, does CNN start tomorrow? No. CNN starts on September the 3rd, if I'm not mistaken. Labor Day is the 2nd, right? Correct? If Labor Day is the 2nd, then the CNN starts on the 3rd. Whatever day is the day after Labor Day. So if Labor Day is on the 1st, which I know it's not the 1st, it's got to be the 2nd, then CNN starts on the 3rd. Super Friends update. This upcoming week, either Tuesday or Wednesday, I got to get with the fellas. We initially scheduled it for Tuesday. I can't do Tuesday, though. That's not a good day for me. So I'm going to try to reach out to the fellas and reschedule to Wednesday. Should be Wednesday. No later than that. Maybe if that's not a good day for them, it's going to be this upcoming week. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Could be Monday, could be Thursday, could be Wednesday. It's not going to be Friday, and it's not going to be Tuesday. So it'll be one of those other days. Rico stream coming soon? I don't think so. I don't have one coming on my end. I can't speak for anybody else. But maybe we get one of those before the season starts. I may reach out to them, but it's kind of late. If I wanted to do something with them, I don't like reaching out to them and, throwing something at them last minute, which is what it would be. This would have been a great week to do it, though. And maybe I could still reach out to them and we could do something on Thursday. But, everybody got their own shit going on. So we'll see. ODU football will face South Carolina Saturday. Any thoughts on that? No, ODU actually has a really good schedule this year. Playing some good teams, including South Carolina. I just want them to be close. I don't expect them to beat the Gamecocks. But did you see Georgia Tech? And I get it. Georgia Tech is not Old Dominion. I'm aware, right? Like Georgia Tech, last time I checked was in the ACC with Florida State. So with all this conference realignment going on, I don't know who the hell plays where anymore. But Georgia Tech wasn't supposed to beat Florida State over in, Ireland. And they did. They were the 10th team in the nation. Remember, Florida State felt like they got, robbed of playing in the playoffs last year with Jordan Travis at quarterback. But I'm not saying that that's what ODU is going to do, but I just want to keep it close. Give yourself a chance, right? Don't get blown out. I think they will hang in there and make it competitive. DMV Bay, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, in hindsight, should they have been more aggressive and secure Ayuk to pair with Terry on the outside and have Hans eat in the slot? No. I don't think anything has changed in terms of the thought process. I've talked to people who felt like they should have been more aggressive at both tackle and wide receiver, this offseason. But ultimately, they did what they felt like they needed to do at both positions. They didn't know Jahan when they got here. Keep in mind that, we've heard a lot of stuff about Jahan's attitude and, coming out over the last week or so. I don't know how much of that I believe. I don't disagree with their decision-making process, especially if the Jahan attitude stuff and body language stuff is true. Then yeah, maybe he needed to change the scenery. They needed to get him out of here because they're trying to build a culture here, and you don't need guys going against the grain, pouting and not doing it the way you want, and then not having the physicality, all of that stuff. So I don't really know, all of what is true and what's not true. I just know he wasn't a fit for them, and that's all that mattered. But, to say that they should have been more aggressive going after Ayuk, I don't believe that to be the case. I still am not sure that Ayuk isn't a byproduct of Kyle Shanahan's offense. I'm just being honest with you. I'm just keeping it a buck. I think Ayuk is good. I don't know if he is that good outside of Kyle Shanahan's offense. Because, really, what is Brandon Ayuk? People will tell you he's an elite route runner. I don't know about that. I think he's a good route runner. Elite? Nah. I don't think he has a single elite trait. It ain't run after the catch. He's solid there. He ain't great at it. He's not a speed demon. He can run, but he ain't blowing by nobody. So what is the elite trait that you're getting from him? I don't know. I think he's a good, well-rounded receiver. But to give up draft picks and pay him, I don't think he's worth all that. Worth all that. And again, what are we winning this year? Somebody remind me again. Because I don't know. But if we were coming off of a 9-win season, yeah, go after Ayuk. Make an aggressive offer for T. Higgins. Go ahead. Do what the Texans just did. But the Texans are coming off of a 10-win season. Let's just find out what we got right now. Diami might be better than y'all think. Who knows? Luke McCaffrey might show up, and we might be like, yo, we good right here. Diami just coming. Terry had 1227. Diami had 989. And Luke had 647. Y'all, you might be like, shit, we good, bro. Add one more little receiver in, whether that's a T. Higgins or, you go in the draft and get you a young boy, or you go in free agency and find a piece that you think fits, and you might be straight. Who knows? I can't say that's what's going to happen, but I'm willing to see. I don't think they're going to be super aggressive. If there's a receiver that they weren't expecting to hit the streets that they like I was watching the Broncos today, for instance, And I don't think this is going to happen. But y'all know I'm a Tim Patrick fan, right? Tim Patrick coming off of 2 straight seasons where he had ACL tears, and he's finally made his way all the way back. He caught his first touchdown pass in the second preseason game versus the Green Bay Packers, and his teammates went nuts. They were thinking about cutting his ass. I think he's going to make their roster, but the Broncos have a lot of solid receivers, and somebody's not making the team. Like, if they cut a Tim Patrick, I'm interested. That's a guy I would say, hey, let's just see what Tim Patrick has, right? But it'd have to be a guy like that somebody cuts. You don't see them necessarily cutting that guy, and you're like, hey, I think he can play. Let's see what he talking about. Keep in mind, Carolina might have the same idea, right? They've done a lot to their receiver position, but doesn't hurt to add another guy. So we'll see, right? I don't think they should have been aggressive in pursuing Ayuk. And I don't think that was going to change how they felt about Jahan. They could have kept Jahan in the slot here. I just don't think they felt like he fit what they wanted to do. And I don't think they loved his temperament, how he was going about business. And he was not physical. And that's something they've been preaching this entire time. Nike, been a member for 14 months. Who writes, who could be a wide receiver target if we were to sign one? Impossible to say because cuts haven't been made yet. Over the next 36 hours, we'll call it, we'll see what names surface. And there may be 1 or 2 names that might stand out above the rest. But right now, doesn't feel like there's any moves that are imminent. They're just going to roll with the guy. Again, this is year 1 of the recalibration. They understand what this is. It's a process. Like, a lot of you are desperate to make this team Super Bowl caliber in year 1. They're not. They understand what this is. They want to see growth. They want to see foundations being set. And they want to see which guys are going to announce themselves as players moving forward. Guys that are a part of the solution and not part of the problem. That's what this season is about. Find as many solutions to the problem as humanly possible and move forward with them next year, and then add another draft class and another free agent class on top of those guys. And now you're cooking. It's not that different from a head coach coming in at a collegiate program and all of the guys that are there for the most part aren't his players. And like Deion had to do when he went to Colorado, he ran in and basically told him, and it's a lot easier to do it now with the transfer portal and all that, but he basically went in there and said, y'all are not my dudes. I'm bringing in my guys, and we're going to turn this shit around. And he knew they was going to get their ass whooped that first year. And Deion told everybody, get your licks in now, because when I get my shit in here, when I get my stuff in here, oh, it's on. Deion expects to do damage this year. With Shador, this is last year with his son and Travis Hunter and all those boys. He's looking to do damage. He's got enough of his stuff in there now where he's looking to do some damage this upcoming season, right? It's not that different. This first year, you got to get all the trash out, all the dead weight, cleared away. You got your first draft class in here, your first free agency class. You got the guys that were here, Terry, Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne, Tress Way, all the guys that have been reliable, Sam Cosmi, that you feel good about. All right, they already here. Add the free agency class, add the draft class on top of that. Now let's see what we got. All right, 1 or 2 guys step up that you didn't expect. Cool. Add them to the mix. Next year, add in another free agency class, add in another draft class, and then the guys that proved it last year, coupled with the new guys that we added this year, let's go play some football. So, I don't really foresee us going after anybody right now. But again, the situation will dictate what happens. If a guy that is noteworthy is released, we might be active. But right now, I can't say. Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Fat American, writes, Lou, I know the tackling isn't so great, but the defense is playing aggressive and they're hitting. Boy, love it. Love their mentality so far. And I'm not even mad at the tackling right now because a lot of the infractions aren't being committed by starters. It's by guys that like Anthony Pittman who aren't going to be here probably in the next 12 hours. I think he's a Monday cut after the way he's played this preseason. Cut his ass. They're flying around, but this was to be expected. I told y'all when Dan Quinn showed up, the first thing you're going to notice is they're flying to the football. Look, I don't know if we're going to create those turnovers that we're all desperately looking. We didn't get any tonight again, right? We almost had an interception, right? But we can get any turnovers again tonight. But once the season starts, I wouldn't be shocked if they started happening. But we're going to fly to the football. And when you flop to the ball and you get that many helmets flying to the rock, good things happen. Good things happen. So I love the mentality too right now. The aggressiveness, the physicality. These are all things that they preach. They told us we will be a run and hit team. We will arrive violently. We will play fast. We will play physical. And we've seen all of those things to this point. So I'm right there with you, Fat American. Love what I'm seeing. Anyway, wanted to give another quick shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this live stream. Once again, if you'd like to sign up for BetUS, use the link in the description below. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on this final preseason game for the Commanders. They get the win 20-10 over the New England Patriots. Now comes the hard part. Trimming the roster down from 90 to 53 guys, or as Dan Quinn likes to say, 70, roughly 70 when you factor in the practice squad. That process is going to happen over the next 2 days. They have to trim the roster down to 53 players by 4 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon, Eastern Standard Time. So now we wait. We'll see some guys probably get chopped down tomorrow. All of the ones that you expect. A lot of the undrafted guys, the Austin Jones and the Colson Yankovs. I think Colson might last till Tuesday, but he could cut today and still be back on the practice squad because I think they like him. But a guy like Austin Jones, he's not going to be here. Some of these corners like Kelly Caillou Blue, he's gone. Cut him right now, right? And a number of other guys, yeah, go ahead and cut him right now. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. Until next time, you know what it is. Post up. Take command. You guys have a good one. Hold on. Got another one here from Elrico Anderson. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Elrico writes, "Hey, Lou. What's up, Elrico? We got a new team, dog. What a time to be a C's fan. Anytime I see C's, I think of Celtics. I don't like that. I got to come up with something else. That's like the third time I've seen somebody call them the C's. Yeah, the Celtics already got that. Can't call them the C's. In AP, we trust. P.S. Turner gone. I think Cole Turner's gone too. I'm with you. Yeah, it felt like he started out with great traction. I thought that he had gained this love. It's almost like he traded physicality for the ability to catch. Like he went from, hey, I can catch the shit out of the football. I don't know if I'm gonna help you as a blocker. To, hey, I can block a little bit, but now I can't catch. So yeah, it's like, damn, we can't get both, Cole. And he's like, nah, you got to pick one, bro. So that sucked because I like Cole, but it's starting to feel a lot more like, hey, we can get away with 3 tight ends and be fine. Feels like we can get away with 3 tight ends. And again, if you feel like you need to keep them at other positions, linebacker and tight end are 2 positions right off the bat, and wide receiver looks like it could be another one, but I think they're going to keep a 6th where you could trim off some fat and add it on somewhere else, right? So anyway, since I had that last one, I'm gonna just go ahead and drop this on you real quick before I get out of here.
Michael Vick at BetUS.com. Catch an incredible 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits, plus 10% gambler's insurance. BetUS, my online sportsbook and casino.
All right, so y'all know what it is. We'll be live again tomorrow. We'll have a list of names of guys that have been cut from the roster. We'll talk about the Josh Harris press conference from Sunday and any other things that may have caught our eye, like players getting cut elsewhere that might make sense for us. So keep your eyes peeled, ears to the street. Be looking around at what other teams have done from a cutting standpoint. Usually guys getting cut tomorrow, we shouldn't be of interest to us. It shouldn't be, theoretically speaking. But one team's trash could be another team's treasure. You just never know, right? So anyway, I digress. I look forward to chopping it up with y'all tomorrow and Tuesday and so forth and so forth. It should be an interesting week, to say the least. Until then, you guys take care. Have a good one. God bless. And good night.